former Fever champion and 7-time All-Defensive Team selection Briana January is returning to Indianapolis, this time as an assistant coach on Stephanie White's staff. This strategic addition comes just weeks before the season tips off, sending shockwaves through the league. January's defensive expertise and championship pedigree could be the missing piece that transforms the Fever from playoff hopefuls to title contenders. The timing couldn't be more perfect for rookie sensation Caitlin Clark, who just gained a basketball mastermind to help navigate her first professional season. The return of Briana January to the Indiana Fever is the return of one of the greatest players to ever lace 'em up in franchise history. Known for her cerebral style of play, lockdown defense, and expert passing as a player, January now provides all of those attributes and knowledge as a coach. Take one look at the Fever all-time leaderboard and you'll see January's name all over the record books. She's second all-time in franchise history at assists, third all-time in steals, fourth all-time in points, and third all-time in minutes play. From 2005 to 2016, the Indiana Fever made the playoffs a record 12 consecutive seasons. Tamika Catchings played the most games for Indiana during that stretch, the second most, Briana January. She was an integral part of all 3 Indiana Fever WNBA Finals appearances to date, and was at her best when the stage was its brightest. In Game 4 of the 2012 WNBA Finals, January hit the game-sealing 3 with just over a minute to go, scoring 7 points in the final minute 18, helping deliver Indiana a WNBA championship. January will bring an Indiana Fever team looking for defensive improvement, a wealth of defensive knowledge. She finished on the WNBA's all-defensive team 7 times in her career, the 5th most appearances of any player in WNBA history. All of those years of playing point guard and helping lead those Fever teams have made her regarded as one of the best communicators in all of the sport. In 2015, Briana January was the starting point guard on an Indiana Fever team that made a Cinderella run all the way to Game 5 of the WNBA Finals. That team was coached by none other than Stephanie White. 10 years later, Briana January reunites with Stephanie White on the Fever's sideline, with the same goal of getting back to the finals and winning a WNBA championship. Let's break down exactly why this coaching hire has other WNBA teams hitting the panic button. When you really analyze what Briana January brings to the table, it becomes clear why this move could dramatically accelerate the Indiana Fever's timeline for success. First, let's talk about January's credentials. We're not dealing with just any former player transitioning to coaching. We're talking about a bona fide Fever legend. January spent 9 seasons in Indiana helping guide the franchise to their only championship in 2012. She ranks second all-time in games played and assists for the organization, establishing herself as one of the most impactful players in team history. But January's value extends far beyond her connection to the franchise. Her defensive prowess is what really sets her apart. Being named to the WNBA All-Defensive Team 7 times doesn't happen by accident. January developed a reputation as one of the league's most tenacious perimeter defenders, consistently taking on the challenge of guarding the opposition's best backcourt players. This defensive mindset is exactly what the Fever needed to add to their coaching staff. Last season, Indiana ranked near the bottom of the league in defensive rating, allowing 87.2 points per game. Their struggles on that end of the floor often negated their offensive firepower. With January now in the fold, expect a renewed emphasis on defensive fundamentals, positioning, and intensity. For Caitlin Clark specifically, this hire could be transformative. Throughout her college career at Iowa, Clark's offensive brilliance was undeniable, but questions persisted about her defensive capabilities at the professional level. Now she'll have daily access to one of the greatest defensive guards in WNBA history, someone who can help her identify the subtle nuances that separate good defenders from great ones. Briana sees the game differently, said Stephanie White in the official announcement. Her basketball IQ, especially on the defensive end, is elite. She'll be an incredible resource for all of our guards, particularly as they adjust to the speed and physicality of the WNBA. That last part is key. The transition from college to the pros represents a significant leap in competition, and many talented rookies struggle with the adjustment period. January's presence provides Clark with a roadmap for success, potentially shortening her learning curve substantially. Beyond the X's and O's, January brings championship experience that can't be taught. She knows what it takes to win at the highest level, having been a crucial part of that 2012 title team. For a young Fever squad hungry to establish themselves as contenders, having someone who's reached the mountaintop is invaluable. When you've been in those pressure-packed moments, you develop a certain calmness, January explained in her first interview since the announcement. I want to help our players understand that the work you put in before those moments is what allows you to perform when they arrive. This mentality aligns perfectly with what we know about Clark's approach to the game. Her work ethic and desire to constantly improve have been well documented throughout her collegiate career. Having a coach who embodies that same professional approach creates a powerful synergy that could accelerate Clark's development. From a tactical standpoint, January's expertise as a floor general mirrors Clark's role with the team. During her playing days, January was known for her ability to organize an offense, make the right reads, and put teammates in positions to succeed. These are all areas where Clark already excels, but having January's perspective adds another dimension to her understanding of pro-level point guard play. The point guard position in the WNBA requires a different level of processing speed, January noted. Decisions that worked in college sometimes need to be made a half-second faster against pro defenses. I'm excited to work with Caitlin on recognizing those windows and exploiting them. This type of specialized guidance is particularly valuable for a rookie point guard. The position is often described as an extension of the coaching staff on the floor, requiring an advanced understanding of not just what plays to run but why and when to run them. January's experience will help Clark develop that heightened basketball consciousness, but January's impact won't be limited to Clark. The entire Fever roster stands to benefit from her addition to the coaching staff. Forward Nalissa Smith, entering her third season, could see significant improvement in her defensive positioning and rotations under January's tutelage. Veteran sharpshooter Kelsey Mitchell might discover new ways to leverage her scoring ability within team defensive concepts. And then there's Aaliyah Boston, last year's Rookie of the Year and the Fever's anchor in the paint. Boston already showed tremendous promise on both ends of the floor, but January's understanding of defensive rotations and help principles could elevate Boston's game to an all-defensive team level. Our young core is so talented, January said. They have all the physical tools. My job is to help them refine those tools and apply them within winning basketball concepts. This focus on development within a winning framework is precisely what separates good coaching staffs from great ones. Individual skills are important, but understanding how those skills translate to team success is the key to championship basketball. January lived that reality as a player, and now she gets to impart that wisdom as a coach. The timing of this announcement is also significant. With just a few weeks remaining before the season opener, January will have a condensed time frame to implement her ideas during training camp. However, this pressure cooker environment might actually accelerate the team's growth, creating an urgency that brings players together. Sometimes having less time forces you to focus on what's truly important, January explained. We can't overload them with information, so we'll prioritize the fundamentals that will make the biggest impact right away. January's hiring also represents a strategic countermove against the league's powerhouse teams. The Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty, last year's WNBA Finals participants, both feature elite guard play. Having a defensive specialist like January on staff gives the Fever specialized insight into how to contain players of that caliber. When I watch film now, I see it through a different lens, January admitted. As a player, I was focused on my individual matchup. As a coach, I'm seeing the entire chess match. How 5 offensive players interact with 5 defensive players, and where the advantages can be created or neutralized. For Clark specifically, the partnership with January addresses the most commonly cited concern about her game. Throughout her collegiate career, critics pointed to her defense as an area needing improvement. While her offensive brilliance often overshadowed these critiques, the WNBA presents a level of competition where two-way play becomes essential for sustained success. Defense at this level is about anticipation and positioning more than pure athleticism. January explained, the most effective defenders understand tendencies and angles. Those are skills that can be developed through film study and deliberate practice. This philosophy should resonate with Clark, whose basketball intelligence has always been one of her strongest attributes. If January can help her channel that intelligence into defensive anticipation, Clark could quickly silence those who question her ability to defend at the pro level. Beyond the on-court implications, January's hiring reinforces the Fever's commitment to building a championship culture. General Manager Lynn Dunn has been methodically assembling a team capable of returning the franchise to its former glory, and January represents another significant piece of that puzzle. When we talk about what Indiana Fever basketball means, Briana January exemplifies it. Dunn stated in the press release, "She knows what it takes to win here and that institutional knowledge is priceless as we continue building toward our goals." For the fans in Indianapolis, January's return generates excitement beyond just the basketball implications. She represented an era when the Fever were annual championship contenders, regularly battling in the later rounds of the playoffs. Her presence on the bench serves as a tangible reminder that those days could soon return. Social media reaction to the announcement has been overwhelmingly positive, with current and former WNBA players praising the Fever for the hire. Tamika Catchings, the face of the Fever franchise and January's former teammate, expressed her enthusiasm on Twitter. "Nobody understood our defensive principles better than Bree, the perfect addition to this coaching staff." From a schematic standpoint, January's defensive philosophy aligns well with head coach Stephanie White's offensive vision. White wants to play with pace and space, leveraging Clark's extraordinary passing ability and the team's collection of athletic finishers. January's defensive approach, built on communication, positioning, and controlled aggression, creates the stops necessary to ignite that transition game. "Great defense fuels great offense," January emphasized. "When you get stops and deflections, it creates advantages in transition before the defense can get set. With a passer like Caitlin, those advantages become even more pronounced." For rival WNBA teams, this development creates genuine concern. The Fever were already viewed as a team on the rise thanks to their young core and the addition of Clark. Now with January providing specialized coaching to address their most glaring weakness, the timeline for contention appears to be accelerating rapidly. "She's going to fast-track our defensive growth," predicted White. "The attention to detail and competitive fire she brings daily will elevate everyone's standards." For Clark specifically, this mentorship arrives at the perfect moment. The transition from college superstar to professional is filled with adjustments both on and off the court. Having January, who navigated a successful WNBA career herself, provides Clark with a valuable resource for managing those changes. "The rookie season can be overwhelming," January acknowledged. "There's so much coming at you so quickly. My goal is to help simplify things for our young players, especially Caitlin, so they can play freely and confidently." This approach to rookie development, focusing on simplicity rather than complexity, often yields the best results. By emphasizing a few key principles rather than overloading players with information, January can help Clark maintain the creative freedom that makes her special while gradually introducing more advanced concepts. From a league-wide perspective, January's hiring continues a positive trend of former players transitioning to coaching roles. The WNBA has been at the forefront of this movement, with numerous teams benefiting from the insights of those who excelled as players. January's defensive expertise and championship experience make her particularly valuable in this capacity. "Players who become coaches bring a unique credibility," noted White. "They've been in the trenches. They've faced the same challenges." That perspective resonates differently with current players. As training camp approaches, the practical implementation of January's defensive principles will be fascinating to observe. Early reports suggest she's already having an impact, with players noting her attention to detail and ability to communicate complex concepts in accessible terms. "She breaks everything down so clearly." One Fever player reportedly said after an informal workout, "You understand not just what to do, but why you're doing it. That makes a huge difference." For Clark, whose basketball IQ has always been advanced, this teaching style could unlock new dimensions of her game. Understanding defensive concepts at a deeper level will not only improve her own defensive capabilities, but also give her insight into how opponents will try to defend her, creating a competitive advantage on both ends of the floor. "The best point guards think several steps ahead," January explained. "They're not just reading the current situation, they're anticipating how it will evolve. That's where Caitlin can take her game to an even higher level." As the season approaches, expectations for the Fever continue to rise. What once looked like a developmental year now carries the potential for immediate competitiveness. January's addition to the coaching staff, combined with Clark's arrival and the continued growth of Boston and Smith, creates a formula that could yield results sooner than many anticipated. "We're not putting limits on what this team can accomplish," January stated firmly. "The talent is here. Our job as coaches is to harness that talent within a winning structure." This refusal to accept a traditional rebuilding timeline sends a clear message throughout the organization. The Fever are not just building for the future, they're coming for the present. January's championship credentials give that message added weight, creating a sense of possibility that energizes everyone associated with the team. For Clark, embarking on her professional journey with coaches of this caliber represents an ideal scenario. The combination of White's offensive expertise and January's defensive mastery creates a balanced learning environment where every aspect of her game can flourish. "I couldn't ask for a better situation," Clark told reporters when asked about January's hiring. "Having coaches who have been where I want to go, who understand what it takes to win at this level. That's invaluable. As the Fever prepare to open training camp, the energy surrounding the team is palpable. January's return to Indianapolis has reignited memories of championship glory while simultaneously pointing toward a promising future. For a franchise that has endured several challenging seasons, this combination of nostalgia and hope creates powerful momentum. The pieces are falling into place, January concluded. Now it's about doing the work every day to turn potential into results. I'm excited to be part of that process. That process begins in earnest when training camp opens, with January bringing her defensive intensity to a team poised for a breakthrough. For rival WNBA teams watching these developments, the panic is justified. The Indiana Fever aren't just adding talent, they're adding championship wisdom, and in the world of professional sports, that combination is often the difference between contenders and champions. The Fever's coaching masterstroke has completely shifted the league's power dynamics. With January's defensive brilliance guiding Clark's development, we might be witnessing the birth of the WNBA's next dynasty. Indiana didn't just hire a coach, they added a championship blueprint. What do you think this means for the Fever's playoff chances? Will January's defensive mentorship transform Clark into a two-way superstar? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you're pumped about Fever basketball this season, slam that like button and subscribe for more breaking WNBA news and analysis.